Everybody's free to feel good.
Hi, Rozalla, how are you?
I'm fine, Leo. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Welcome to the Sound Museum. Firstly, I have to say, recently you had a very special birthday. How did you celebrate?
My husband took me to Barcelona for a few days. It was just so lovely. It was so lovely.
Because you were born in Rhodesia, which is now Zambia. You moved to, I guess, Zimbabwe when you were a child, right? So do you miss your family when it comes to those special occasions?
I miss them so much, you know.
Yeah.
I try and go home twice a year to visit family because I have family that live in Zambia and Zimbabwe. So I
Right.
try and go home at least twice a year. And the older I become, you know, I have dreams of maybe going and spending 2, 3, 4 months of the year back home. But with the way things are and, you know, being married, it's not really realistic, you know.
Yeah.
My career still going well. But, you know, I look at what I have and I've got the fortune of, you know, traveling home twice a year. And thank goodness for the state of the internet, WhatsApp, you know, I could call them every day, a video call them every day. So I'm thankful for that.
Because you were there a few months ago in January, is that right? Seeing
Yes, I went home in January, and then 6 weeks later I went home again. You know, the reason it happened, I mean, it was quite lovely, but at the same time, it wasn't really because my mom wasn't well in January. So I went home in January, and then she was doing great. And then my husband's like, I can see you want to go home and see her. So 6 weeks later, I went home. So my brother and my friends were like, I think you need to make it, you know, every 6 weeks, come home every 6 weeks. Like, yeah, right. Okay, we need to win the lottery for those air tickets.
Let's sort of go back to your childhood. What music was around the house when you were growing up?
I listened a lot to, you know, Diana Ross, Barbara Streisand, the Jacksons. There were also some African artists. There was one, Miriam Makeba, and a lady called Leta Mbulu. So I enjoyed listening to them. And in Zambia and Zimbabwe till today, the radio stations are very much influenced by Western music. That grabbed me instantly, and I guess you could say that's what started planting the seed in my head, and also the idea that I wanted to do dance music, you know, moving forward.
When did you discover you could sing? When did you decide that you wanted to sing as a career?
All my life, I wanted to be a singer. Whoever, you know, talked to me or listened to me, I always said I want to be a singer. And there were two of my aunts who could see this in me. One of them sadly has passed away, but they would write my words for me. So say if they wanted me to learn an Aretha Franklin song, that time we grew up with vinyls, and they would pick up the needle and start the song again until they wrote the whole song for me to memorize and listen to. And whenever they had, you know, barbecues in the afternoon, their friends would say, can't she sing? Isn't Rozalla here? Tell her to come and sing for us, you know? And so all that been planted in my head told me, well, people think I can sing as well. So, you know, let me just go along this journey and see where it takes me.
So when you were in Zimbabwe, I understand that your stepdad was a big influence on you.
My stepfather, he was my #1 fan, you know. He really believed in me. I didn't know my real father that well. I met him much, much later on in life. But when people ask me, where did you get your musical influence from? I think it came from him because, you know, I was told he was a singer and he was in a band, you know, so I guess that's where that seed was planted, I suppose. But my dad, my stepdad, he was my #1 fan.
When you were living in Zimbabwe, you were in a few bands and things, and you had a few hits in South Africa as well. What was that whole period like for you starting in the industry back then?
It was great because this band that I joined in Zimbabwe, we called ourselves Grab, and the letters were from the beginnings of our first names. You know, there was Gabby, Rozalla, Andy, and Boyke. And we went around Zimbabwe, you know, performing at clubs, at parties and things like that, and doing songs that were being played on the radio, mostly Western music. And here and there we'd throw in a local track, you know, and just people just loved it. But it was also during that time, Leo, that I realized that this is great, but I don't want to go around all my life singing other people's songs. I want to release material under my own name and material that was preferably original. And then when I look back, you know, life is strange. You know, for me anyway, personally, you plant a seed and you look back and you think it's worked. You know, so I guess I manifested all that. You know, all this manifestation word is all jumping about in my life now. But yeah, and you know, the next thing that happened, a talent contest. I was going in Harare. I joined it and I won. And the prize was a recording deal with the record company, and the rest is history.
Obviously, you could have just stayed in South Africa because you had success there, but you moved to the UK, and at that time, it must have been quite scary for you, a young girl, and going to a different country and basically starting again. But success quickly followed when you moved to the UK. You teamed up with a couple of guys, the band of gypsies. You had this amazing success with them. Do you remember the first, I guess, session you had with the guys, with Nigel?
Oh, with Tim and Nigel. Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, when I left Zimbabwe, it was because I felt that as a singer, I got as far as I could go,
Yeah.
you know, and then I felt, you know, I could keep going round and round in circles if I remained in this country being a singer and not really get to where I wanted to go. I wanted to be this, I had dreams of being this big international singer, you know, and then it just so happened that England opened up its doors, and I came here, and we were sending round cassettes to try and get me a deal. I had help from people in the UK, and one of those cassettes fell on the laps of Tim and Nigel, who were known as a band of gypsies at the time. And they wanted to meet me. I got to meeting them. They told me they loved my voice. They've got some songs that they'd love to do with me. What style of music do I want to do? And I remember saying to them, I want to do songs that are, you know, uplifting, that's got, you know, really strong beat, a strong bass line, and lyrics that were positive. And if you listen to the Everybody's Free album, you know, i.e. the title track, Everybody's Free to Feel Good, it's positive. So that's what Tim and Nigel, you know, delivered for me, my two angels.
You mentioned that just before, because when I was actually listening to your music today, I had a few jobs around the house to do, and one of them was to sort out our pantry. So I was doing my housework and stuff, listening to your albums. And what I found, I listened to all your material, is your voice is so distinctive. And so when I hear one of your songs, I know, oh, that's Rozalla. Were you aware of that when you started singing?
No, not at all. All I knew, Leo, until today, I feel that is I just want to sing, you know, and I want to sing songs, hopefully, that I will feel good about singing, which fortunately has happened. That when songs are written for me, or my current album, we've got a few covers on there that were done, say, in the 70s or the 80s, and I've enjoyed listening to them, and I felt, you know, if I sing that song in the studio, I could hopefully deliver and just enjoy singing it with my voice. And I've never really thought I've got a distinctive voice. I've never thought that. I'm just here wanting to be a singer, that's all.
Everybody's free.
Everybody's Free was just this monster hit. I mean, an artist to have such, I mean, at the time when you were recording that song, did you realize you had something special when you heard that song, when you heard that song back? Did you think that this is going to be it?
Not at all. No idea. I mean, you know, a lot of my singing friends and myself would talk, and, you know, the thing is, when I'm recording a song in the studio, I'm enjoying singing it, and I'm thinking, this is such a good song. I can hear this being played on the radio. But as time has gone by, you soon and quickly realize that when that single is released, it's beyond your control what happens. You can only do so much as far as promoting it, as far as hoping that it will get out to the millions of listeners and you get support for it. But really, it becomes a life of its own, you know, and you've got no control over it, really.
Everybody's Free, number 6 in the UK. Here in Australia, number 11. I come from New Zealand. That reached number 14 in New Zealand. To have a song that transcends not only in the UK where you're living at the time, but around Europe and the other side of the world in the US, this massive song. A few months ago, there was this Sydney Mardi Gras, and I heard your song on one of the floats in the parade. And this was 2024. So the song is still being played. It's still so loved. Do you ever get sick of singing that song? I mean, you have to sing that song every time you do a gig. So do you ever get sick of, oh, and I've got to sing that song again? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I do. I mean, there was a time, particularly in the mid-90s, I'd say, I started thinking, if I sing the song again, you know, and then the boy bands and the girl bands all started having their moment. And then I found I was lucky if I did even one club date in a period of 2 months. And that's coming from doing anywhere between 4 to 7 dates per week. And keeping in mind, that's how I earn my living. And all this started going to the wayside. So it was a bit scary, you know. And then, of course, I was from my label, Sony. And then I'm thinking, oh, you know, this is the end of my career. Is this how it goes? Oh, well, Rozalla, you had a hit single. It's okay, you know, patting myself on the back and feeling sorry for myself.
You had more than a hit single.
I
had...
know, well, you know, yeah, I did. But, you know, at that time, you can't see from beyond the tip of your nose when you sort of like going through slight anxiety and this is what's happening. And then my agents and, you know, fortunately, I've got some, you know, good people who I'm surrounded by. I'm like, you know, Rozalla, it's a fashion, you know, fashion comes in and fashion goes out. Just keep riding this wave. And, you know, I just did that. And then, of course, the club dates started improving. People were still wanting to record with me. And I just thought, just keep on this path and just keep doing your thing. So it came to a point of, you know, you don't know what you've got until it's almost gone, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And if you just sort of realize that and understand that, you know, hold on to it and treasure it. And I will sing Everybody's Free and all my other singles until I can't sing it anymore and enjoy it, because the truth is I really do.
You've had 10 top 50 singles in the UK and 5 of those have gone top 20. In the US dance club songs charts, you've had 8 charting singles, including 3 number ones. That's quite impressive. Just saying.
Wow. When you put it that way.
There's nothing to be sneezed at. You mentioned this before, you were signed to Sony, and that was for your second album, Look No Further. I listened to the album today, and on that album, you were signed to this massive label. So, and you're working with, I guess, different producers. Jelly Bean, who did a lot of Madonna stuff, and Rick Knowles, who did Linda Carlisle, Frankie Knuckles, all these amazing producers. What was it like working with those guys, and what did they bring to the table at that time?
Working with Jelly Bean for me was just fantastic. I did I Love Music with him. In New York, you know, just also having the opportunity to fly to New York and perform and do the song with this fantastic producer. To me, I was just thinking, this is Madonna's boyfriend, and he did, you know, Holiday and all that material back in the day with Madonna. He was a really nice guy. I got the opportunity to work with Diane Warren, who is, in my opinion, one of the best songwriters. And, you know, when you listen to the songs she's written for real hardcore rock bands, to Celine Dion, to Toni Braxton, and me, you know, and I'm thinking, wow, it's incredible. And then, of course, I got to meet and work with Frankie Knuckles, which was just incredible, and he's sadly no longer with us, but what a talented man, you know. And I'll never forget, you know, each time I went to the studio into New York, he'd bring me some chicken and collard greens, as he called them, and mashed potatoes.
You had a feast in the studio.
Yes. He was incredible, just a wonderful human being.
For your third album in 1997, Coming Home, I think it's fair to say you were more involved with that album. You did a lot of co-writing, and you were back with the guys from the band of Gypsies. Working on that third album, I guess coming from that second album with Sony, was it almost like coming home, working with the guys again?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we were also, you know, quite aware that we're not going to try and copy, trying to recreate Everybody's Free, Are You Ready to Fly, Faith in the Power of Love, or that whole album, because, you know, a few years had passed, we'd all grown up, and we did music that, you know, Coming Home was, yeah, Coming Home and working with Tim and Nigel, you could say that title was for them. And also Coming Home, if you listen to that album, there's some very, you know, sort of mild African themed music to it. And some of it I'm singing in an African language called Bemba, which is from Ndola, where I was born in Zambia. And keeping in mind, there's 72 different dialects in Zambia, you know, but that part of the world in Zambia, Ndola, is where they speak Bemba. So I don't speak it fluently, but I speak it enough to understand. And my friend, Frida, I called her in because she speaks it fluently. So I was like, just make sure I'm pronouncing the words correctly and saying the right things. But Tim and Nigel thought, you know, let's do something that involves us and you going home and stuff like that. So so I got the opportunity to co-write quite a few tracks on there as well.
I was listening to the album again today, and because it's been quite a few years since I've actually heard the album, and
All right.
how you've said before, the influence from your country, I love that you're bringing it into your music. It's so cool. It's so refreshing. It's so different. It really stands out, you know.
Thank you. That, you know, that really was Tim and Nigel. Tim and Nigel, you know, were such geniuses in their ideas and in the ideas of sharing it with me. You know, I remember them saying, let's pay, you know, homage to where you come from. And, you know, Nigel, you know, he used to read all these wild and weird books, and I'm going, that's where you got your ideas from these novels that you read in, you know. But that they felt that was important, that I paid homage to where I come from, and therefore that's where the title Coming Home came from. Yeah, and I will be eternally grateful to Tim and Nigel, always.
When you finished the album and did you release a few singles from it, but there was a bit of a gap. There's a long gap, in fact, from the album to your next album, which would have been a jazz album, Brand
Yeah.
New Vision in 2009. That's a massive gap to sort of have. I guess, what were you doing in that whole time? Were you still gigging? Did you take some time out? Did you, because obviously you're married and you with your husband, and were you just
Yeah.
enjoying life and just being you after having so many crazy years in this crazy industry?
Yeah. You know, taking a break from recording was something that just happened by its own accord. It wasn't my choice. I also really wasn't, I suppose, that keen to go back into the studio and record material. So I concentrated on just doing the live work, and that's mostly what I was doing. And I found that, you know, because, you know, I've been busy doing the live work, and fortunately I'm even busier now. People tend to think you've stopped releasing new material because you're not having the hit singles you once did. But, you know, people forget that artists like myself are out there doing live work, you know. So yeah.
You had a hit here in Australia in 2009 with Everybody's Free, when the Global DJs done a remix of the track, and it went to
Yeah.
number 7 here in Australia in 2009. So I remember that version so well because it was a really big hit in Australia. You've been to Australia before, haven't you?
I have.
Yes.
I've had the I've traveled to Australia twice
Right.
in my
You've done
lifetime.
Mardi
Yeah.
Gras?
I've never. I'd love to. I'd love to. So whoever's watching this, please, just please get me down for Mardi Gras. I'd love it.
I know someone
Leo's even
on
shocked. I know Leo got to make this happen.
I know someone on the committee actually. So I might actually every time I watch the parade, I always hear your song in the parade every year. It's just such a yeah, you have to do Mardi Gras.
I would love to. I would love to.
Yeah.
In fact, the last time I came to Australia, the reason behind it was there was a live program called, I think, If You Think You Can Dance,
So
or
you can
some
dance.
that one, right? And
Yeah. It would
apparently
have
Everybody's
been
Free
yes.
was the title track that they were using, or the opening track, or whatever. And because of that program, Everybody's Free went back into the charts in Australia. And so they got me down to come and do some TV shows, and coincided, put it with some club dates and festivals, and I just loved it.
Let's talk Energise Records because you joined the label in 2017. They are a small label in the UK, Gary and David, really passionate about music. Who decides on what you should release? Is it a joint decision or is it a collaborative conversation? What's
A joint decision, and Gary Simmons, who runs the label, with his partner Dave, are just two amazing human beings. And Gary, just, I tease him, he just has music ears. I tell him, you've got music ears. And so he'll be like, he shares things with me and shares ideas with me. And he's so wonderful. He keeps me involved and a part of what songs to release. And I fully entrust him. I really trust Gary, and he's just Mr. Music Ears, man. So we have a new single that's been planned, and it's like, I think we should go for this one, because the next single, actually, I can't remember what it's called. Gary thinks we've got about another 2 or 3 more singles to be released from this new album. And he's gauging that by the amount of listeners that he's having on the site. So that's what we're going with, Yeah, the people power, we call it, people power.
yes. Let's talk about the new album, Turn on the Light. You released a few songs on streaming services, but due to COVID, the album was pushed back. Lot of Love, co-written by the legend Neil Young. How did you discover that song? Because it's not a well-known song.
No, it was, well, that's the thing, it was my husband actually, because Gary and I said we wanted to do some covers, but covers that were released so many years ago that hopefully when people hear them now, they'll probably think, I'm sure I've heard that song somewhere along the year, and my husband heard the song by, she's sadly not with us, Nicolette Larson, and it was released in 1978. And he's like, I think you could do that, justice and do well. So I listened to it and I thought, yeah, I could sing it, within my own capacity. And Gary loved it as well. So we did that, and that's how that came about.
Let's go through the album because I've earmarked a few tracks to talk about. The first one in fact, the first 2 you co-wrote. I love these 2, Turn on the Light and Loveful.
Oh, do you like Loveful? Oh, wow.
Yes, love those 2 tracks. I mean, Turn on the Light is such a perfect pop disco banger. It's a great opener for an album.
Thank you. Thank you. That was, I co-wrote that with two other songwriters. That
Mm-hmm.
was one of the first songs we wrote for this album. So yeah, I co-wrote that, and I'm really proud of it. And if you listen to Turn on the Light, it's sort of semi-biographical about my life as a singer,
Yes.
you know, and not giving up. And if you hear, there's a backing vocalist that does Everybody's Free, that just sings a little line of Everybody's Free, you know. So basically the song is saying, through all the ups and downs of being in this tough industry, you know, I turn on the light and I go out there, and the crowd are waiting for me to sing, and they're screaming out my name, and everything's all right because, you know, turn on the light. And Loveful, I co-wrote that as well with oh my goodness, I've got his name now. A few years ago, we co-wrote that together, and Alan, my husband, said that is a great song because it hasn't really been heard as much as you want to. And then I played it to Gary. Gary said, "Oh, we got to have this on the album." And then Gary, being Mr. Magic Ears, he sent out, you know, the vocal stems to quite a few producers, and they came back with so many different mixes, which I think has been also one of the greatest things that has happened for this album. Is Gary knows of so many producers, or they know of others, and you know, it's just a domino effect. And the mixes of some of the tracks we've had come back for this album have just been phenomenal, and it's that has created the magic of the songs and the style of you know, instrumentation that they put behind it has just been so incredible.
And your audience loves remixes. I mean, they go off in the clubs, you know, it's uplifting, it's catchy, it gets people on the dance floor. It's what you're about. It's in your DNA, and your fans love the remixes. I love going through all the singles and going through all the remixes and picking up my favorite, and you know, it's
Yeah, yeah.
Another one that really stood out to me was Baby Come Back, because that was produced by Pete Ware, who was involved with the early songs from Stock Aitken Waterman. And that song is a cover by a track by The Player from 1977. Another obscure track, which I hadn't really heard before.
Again, I got my hubby to thank for that.
Your hubby, Alan, I think he's got the music ears.
I think he's got, him and Gary work well together, and he's like, you know, listen to the song. And it just so happened to be that, you know, I always loved the song before Alan mentioned it to me, ever, you know, by Player. And, you know, I tried to sing the song with my own vocal capacity because the original singer, there's a part in Baby Come Back that he sings that's so high. And to be honest, I just couldn't hit that note in the studio. So I worked it around to my own vocal capabilities. And, you know, at the end of the day, you also don't want to sing a song exactly like the other artist, because nobody can recreate the other person exactly. And it's, you know, it's not karaoke. I try to make songs that I sing my songs. I try to give the Rozalla feel to it and sing it within my vocal capabilities. So I love doing that song. That, in fact, that's one of my favorite songs on the album.
I Feel It Slipping Away, another one produced by Phil Harding, who was part of the Stock Aitken Waterman stable, along with Tony King. Another awesome production. That was one of my favorites from the album. I love that track. Yeah, Inside Out, really, I love that 70s disco feel. There's a few tracks on the album which has that awesome disco feel, and I love that vibe. And of course, You and I, so catchy. That is another stunning track. But the last track on the album, someone that I used to love, a gorgeous, I put here the perfect closure for the album. It's a stunning track. It's a cover of Natalie Cole from 1980. Is that one of your favorites?
It is one of my favorites. And, you know, I don't get the opportunity to do ballads so much. As you know, I'm a dance artist, and Gary said, you know, Rozalla, you can do someone that I used to love, listen to it and just make it your own, you know. So again, that's what I try to achieve here. And I love doing ballads. I think my voice sounds different, my voice gets different, and my voice changes with whatever style of song I'm given, you know. You and I, for instance, my voice is in such a high key, and then you listen to someone that I used to love and I'm singing it in a different key, so they, you know, there's two different voices here, and I thoroughly enjoyed singing that song. I really did.
Your vocal on that track is just gorgeous, by the way. It really is.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
I
so much.
love the jazz feel on some of the tracks on the album. That really came through strong as well. And your voice really suits the whole jazz vibe. Hence, you've done a jazz album a few years ago. Do you like doing jazz?
It was that, you know, Leah, was, I would say, my dream album. You know, I always wanted to do something that was jazzy, not strictly jazzy, but just really easy listening jazz. So as soon as I got that opportunity, you know, my manager at the time, John Anderson, and we still very good friends, he's like, let's do it now. You know, something has come up, and went to the studio, had the opportunity to record this jazz album. And the way we did it, it was with, you know, Billy Ocean's band. They came to the studio and they were playing the instruments live as I was singing. And that's how we recorded that album. So, because usually you go into the studio booth and you put the cans on and the music is playing and you're singing along. But it wasn't done that way. We had the bass guitarist, the guitarist, we had treble bass guitars playing and the violins playing. And so when they pressed record, I needed to be clued on and sing my parts when it was my turn. So it was done, I suppose, if you wish, in the olden days, you know. So I just thought, I can't fluff it up. I can't make a mistake, because that stops everyone from doing the thing and we have to start again. And that's how we did this album.
It keeps you on your toes as well, doesn't it? It really does.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it's
It
alive
keeps
and
things
organic.
fresh as well, you know.
Yeah, the organic sound is just gorgeous.
Someday spirit will lift you and take you there. I know you've been hurting, but I'll be there waiting to be there for you. And I'll be there just helping you out whenever I can. 'Cause everybody's free to feel good. Everybody's free to feel good.
With the album Turn on the Light, you're releasing it obviously on streaming and download, on CD and vinyl. It's going to be my birthday this Saturday. And
Oh, birthday for Saturday.
and thank you. But I'm turning a milestone birthday on Saturday.
Really?
Yeah, I'm turning 50 on Saturday.
Oh, you don't look it.
So yeah, but I remember buying vinyl when I was a kid on singles, a 7-inch and 12-inch, and the albums, and then came cassettes and then CDs, and then it was iTunes and downloads. Now it's streaming, and you can also relate to this as well. But it's almost coming full circle, because now vinyl is back again.
Yeah.
As an artist, how have you become aware of the different formats and how you should release music over the years? It's been quite, you've really got to be on the game, right?
You really got, honestly, you can get so lost in it. You know, Gary's got a certain amount of vinyls that he's releasing. As you say, it's something that's coming back. It's something the fans have been requesting. You know, you please the people. And so I'm really happy about that. I've got a box of CDs, and my husband's like, yeah, but nobody listens to CDs, you know. So I've got the CDs in my room, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with them? Just sign them and then just keep them for safekeeping, or frame them or whatever. And what I've done, I've sort of gone into my online iTunes and have gifted my friends and fans my CD that way as well, because that quicker, you know, which is great. But I just think there's nothing better than holding a vinyl or a CD, hard copy, so you can actually open the page and see who's written the songs, see the credits, look at the pictures because they're big and bigger for you to see. Whereas online is great because you get it there and then, but you can't really, there's no
Yeah,
detail.
yeah.
There's
I,
something lacking. So
I've got so many CDs. I was a vinyl collector when I was in the 80s. Then it was
yeah,
all CDs. But as an artist, I guess these days, as an artist, do you prefer when fans buy your vinyl or your CD and they've paid for that physical product and that's where it sort of ends? Or you've got the whole streaming where it keeps going. Like people listen to it again and again and again and again. It goes on for years. As an
yeah.
artist, what do you prefer?
The streaming, from what I understand, the streaming is, you know, when you read of artists having had 1 million streams, you know, the part of that for me that's good, that's fantastic, is that people are listening. But the other side of that is that they're listening, but are they buying?
Mm,
So it's two totally different things. And honestly, I'd love them to be doing both,
mm,
preferably buying, because that's how you earn your living.
yeah.
So
And of course, live work as well has become so important
live,
because you're doing a few festivals coming up as well. You've got Manchester Pride in August, is that right?
that's right. Yeah, I've got quite a
And you
few gigs coming up. Yeah.
and you recently performed at the Royal Albert Hall with an
Yes.
orchestra. Excuse me, what an amazing, that must have been incredible.
It was surreal. That was a week ago, and it was a 60-piece orchestra with 8 choir singers, 3 backing singers, and we did it in 2 settings at the Royal Albert Hall. The first show started at 6 o'clock in the evening for a couple of hours, and then we had an hour's break, and then the second set started at 9 p.m. And in total, we performed to 11,000 people at the
Wow.
Royal Albert. And honestly, it was one of the most surreal experiences I've had in my musical career. And just to have had the honor to perform at such an established venue, I mean, that's like a stamp in my passport of my career. It's been
Yeah.
incredible,
Because
just
that was
amazing.
the Ministry of Sound Classical, which
Yes.
there's been a few of those type of concerts here in Australia where people perform dance tracks to an orchestra, which is a stunning.
Oh, it's
It goes
amazing.
off. Yeah.
It's amazing. And honestly, it was just, I had to remind myself to just make sure that my mouth wasn't hitting the floor. You know, I had to behave myself, and it was incredible, truly incredible.
Because you're no stranger to performing in large venues and to massive audiences. Because back in 1992, you supported the late King of Pop, Michael Jackson, on his European tour, 3 months on the road with the Dangerous tour, huge crowds. I mean, 75,000, plus.
Yeah.
And for someone that has just started their career at that point in the UK, that must have been nerve-wracking for you. How did you get your head around that at the time? And how did you cope with that at the time?
I just thought, as I always think till today, I carry this with me always. I look at the opportunity. You know, opportunities come knocking on your door, not often, you know, big opportunities, small opportunities, you grab them. And
Mm,
this opportunity will remain, having had the opportunity to support Michael Jackson, will remain one of the highlights, the biggest highlights of my career. And I had just signed to Sony, and he was with Sony as well. So at the time, I believe Michael asked Sony, he wanted an artist that had, big dance hit singles across Europe. And at that time, I fitted the bill because Everybody's Free to Feel Good, Are You Ready to Fly, Faith in the Power of Love was such massive hits for me across Europe. And he chose me personally. So I did 43 dates with him across Europe over a period of, I think it was 3 or 3.5 months. And honestly, Leo, I just thought, what an opportunity. Just grab this, just go for it, just enjoy it. And that's what I did.
That must have been incredible because there's a photo of you online with Michael, well, I think with your band. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
What was he like behind the scenes? Because we know obviously there's Michael the performer on stage, and he's an amazing performer, iconic songs. But behind all that, when he's off stage and backstage and everything, how did you find him?
He was so nice. He asked to meet me once where we took the official photographs, and I met with him, and we took those are the photographs that are online. And I just, had the opportunity to say thank you for choosing me personally to be on your show. He's like, oh, don't worry, Rozalla. It's really great to have you on. And when I'm driving through, I can hear you on stage, and I hear the crowd shouting for you, and I feel so proud of you. And I'm going, oh, he said that. And then on a few occasions, he canceled his shows at the last minute, which was sort of wow, at the 11th hour. And then we found out it's because he was having vocal issues. And then he asked me that day, how do you look after your voice? Because I've been having vocal issues. And I'm going, this is Michael Jackson asking me how you look after your voice, so that was quite surreal. But he was really such a nice person. And honestly, Leo, watching Michael Jackson perform was like watching magic unfold before your very eyes. It was surreal.
Yeah. A moment that you would never forget, and because it's
absolutely just surreal. Uber talented person he was.
I guess what's coming up between now and I guess the rest of the year for you? You've got the album out, Turn on the Light. You've got more singles to come, but what's coming up for you this year?
Well, I've got quite a few gigs in the diary, so I'm really looking forward to those. I've had a bit of a quiet month for April, which has been great, but my husband said, you haven't really had a quiet month in April, maybe as far as gigs are concerned, because I've been doing quite a few interviews promoting the album. And so that's what I'm doing, and I'm enjoying that side of it. And then my gigs start picking up from the 27th of this month, actually. So I think I have about 58 or 60 gigs in my diary so far for this year.
Wow. That's cool. And when you do these massive gigs as well, especially the festivals, these 90s festivals, and there's other artists on the bill, which you probably saw back in the day. Is it like a mini reunion backstage with all of you?
Oh, it is. It absolutely is. I mean, I was in South Africa earlier this year in January with, Ray from 2 Unlimited, Penny from Snap, Dr. Alban, Hadaway. So over the years, we've done gigs where we bumped into each other, greeted hi-bye, but now we've become more friends. We'll stop, we'll have a chat, we'll have a drink with each other. And Ray said to me, from 2 Unlimited, hey, Rozalla, here we are now entering our, mid to late 50s, 60 in my case, and we're still doing our thing, and we thank the heavens, and we're so grateful.
Because people love nostalgia. They love, especially at the moment with the 90s. I mean, I think we had 2 Unlimited here recently, and Aqua were here just a few weeks ago. So the 90s, people love that whole, childhood and memories, and there I was at this time and listening to this song. And just doing these big festivals for you must be really fun because you get the crowd knows all the songs.
It's amazing. It's so lovely. When I first started doing, for instance, Everybody's Free to Feel Good back in the day, because I think Everybody's Free, the chorus is quite easy to catch on. And so I'd hear the audience singing the chorus. Fast forward to many years later, not only are they singing the chorus, they now sing in the verses. And
Right.
that is so emotional to me. It makes me feel so emotional. They sing in the verses, and I'm thinking, wow. And, you know, a prime example was when I did Royal Albert Hall. You know, I went on, started singing Everybody's Free, and then they changed the order of the song slightly. So I had to remember when to come in. And the fans came in and started singing it before I did. It was just so special. It was just special.
Yeah, I mean that song is, I guess, the gift that just keeps on giving. Hey.
Absolutely. I say, you know, Leo, that's my passport. You know, and I did a karaoke with Rylan on BBC Radio
I
2
saw
last
that.
week. That was incredible. And he made me laugh because we did it together. And I'm like, you know, because I was nervous because it was live. And then I'm like, I'm going to let you lead. He was like, you know, you told me that's your passport. Well, your passport could be revoked if you have me singing your song.
No,
So, oh, whatever. He made me laugh so much.
no, it's one of those songs. To have a song like that in your repertoire is really something really special, you know. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And honestly, Leo, it's never lost on me. I am honestly so grateful for that, you know. And it means a lot to me that it's still out there doing this. So I got to, you know, do my best, keep looking after myself, looking after my voice, and, you know, just do it for as long as I can.
from a gay man, that song, I guess, for our community means a lot to us.
Well, can I tell
The
you,
lyrics, the message.
yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I owe a lot to the gay community. I think, you know, they have made this song what it is today, you know, so I feel emotional. And yeah, I love it.
But it's all your songs, you know, all the hits that you've done over the years, all the, you know, the Billboard hits, the hits in the UK, they've got that positive, uplifting message. And I
Mm,
think that's what the fans love. You know,
yeah,
people love to feel good
yeah,
and to feel uplifting and to feel,
yeah,
you know, safe and free and
exactly.
yeah.
With the state of the world that it's in right now, we live in a scary world if you think about it. It can be
Well,
scary, but
I don't want to say it, but if you follow the news, you may have heard about what's happened in Sydney over the weekend.
yes,
You have.
absolutely. You know, I said my prayers for that and the victims and the families and what happened, and that was really evil and frightening, and so frightening to think that you could be anywhere shopping, minding your own business, going to the butcher's or whatever, and some mad person
Hmm.
comes along and innocently, you know, and takes your life away, an innocent person. You know, that's what happened, and it's frightening.
It
But
is really frightening.
you can't allow that to let you not live your life and go out and live your life, because that can happen. That can easily happen, and you think, oh, let me stay at home because I'm safest at home, and then you start building prison walls around yourself. No.
Hmm.
So you just hope the authorities take charge and do the right thing and just make people feel safe. Be as positive as you possibly can in your life, and be wise about when you're out there doing the right thing for yourself, and just keeping your eyes around your head, I suppose.
It's really crazy. And I was saying to my partner Sean just before, actually, my partner Sean says a big hi to you
I'll say
because
hi. Sean.
he is like yourself. He was born in Rhodesia, and which is
Oh,
now Zambia. Um, and he
wow.
and he moved to South Africa when he was young. He moved to Bloemfontein, which is in the middle of the country.
Yes.
And yeah, so he grew up with his brothers in Bloemfontein, but he then moved to New Zealand with his then husband. And then we met when I was in New Zealand, and now we both live in Melbourne, Australia.
Right.
So I actually went back. I actually went to South Africa for the first time just last year.
Yeah.
and it was really beautiful. I mean,
It's a beautiful country. It
it
really
is.
is stunning.
To be honest with you, I saw all facets of it.
Yeah,
Our first stop, we went to Polokwane, which, I mean, the main reason for our trip was to see family, to see his
yeah,
family. I mean, for me to meet his family. Polokwane was quite confronting for me because I haven't really experienced poverty and, you know, how
yeah,
people
in
live.
yeah, yeah,
And what I found really difficult to comprehend was you would see poverty in shacks and people and kids playing in the dirt and
that's right.
really, really poor communities. And then a minute down the road, mansions. And I just couldn't comprehend that.
Yeah.
And of course there was a load shedding, which
Oh, yeah, I know that. Oh, being African, I know that. I have family that lives there in Zambia and Zimbabwe. You can imagine the complaints they give me. It's just, yeah,
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 crazy. But I had a lovely time. We had a week in Cape Town on the way back, which was lovely and really great time
yeah.
in Africa. It's a beautiful country, and yeah.
It
But
is. It
Sean,
is.
but Sean's very thankful that we now live in Australia.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
And in Australia, there's I'm sure like every part of the world, there's poverty and stuff like that. But is it to that extent, like how it was, like what you saw in South
No,
Africa?
no, I mean,
No.
but in saying that, I mean, it's probably the same in the UK, but
Yeah,
here, the number one thing at the moment for people is cost of living.
right.
Everything is just so
So
expensive.
just like here, the cost of living.
Yeah,
And for me as an African coming to England, what I found about England was, for me anyway, how lucky people are here that you have government housing. You know, back home, there's nothing of the sort.
no,
If you don't have a united family that look after each other and you don't have that, you're pretty much on your own, and it's sad. And then here you have government housing, you have government. There seems to be so much in place to help people. But now what I found that's happening is people are taking advantage of the system.
mm.
So the government's cracking down and making it harder, rightfully so. But there's help here.
Rozalla, thank you so much for this. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I've grown up with your music. Um,
Thank you.
you know, there's been a few nights on the dance floor dancing to your tracks.
Oh,
When I was much younger, mind you. I don't do the clubbing
oh,
scene.
you're still young. Oh, please, just you're only turning such a small number next week, and happy birthday for that. And honestly, just keep on dancing, keep on putting one foot in front of the other, and just live your life to the full.
So the new album from Rozalla is out now. It is called Turn on the Light. Make sure you check it out on your favorite streaming service. There's a digital download. You can buy the CD and the vinyl from Energise Records website. And of course, check out Rozalla's channel here on YouTube. All the videos are up there, live performances. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll subscribe now to your page, Rozalla.
Thank
Done.
you.
I'll subscribe to your page, all right? But thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Big love to you, Leo. Thank you
You
so
too,
much.
darling. And
Take care, my dad.
hopefully,
Lovely talking to you.
you too. And hopefully we'll see you
Happy
down here.
birthday. Yes, I hope so. I hope so. There is something planned that for me to come to Australia. There was a plan for me to come April, but then it was pulled. So they're still working on it. So I see Tour Unlimited came before me, so it's going to be a gig like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I got your number, so I'll keep you posted.
Right. Okay. So okay, because those gigs here do really, really well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I think I might be on the next lot, but there is definite talk, definite.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see you down here. And
Hope-
we'll catch up in person and have a
we
drink.
will definitely. I'll give you a hug.
All right, darling. You have a great day.
Lots of love to my darling. All the best.
All right. Thank you
Take
so
care,
much.
Leo. Thank you,
All
my
right.
darling. Bye.
You take care.
Bye.